carrying it as a receivable. So cash flow wise, the state saves 2 months of cash flow, and then we'll reimburse it in August instead of June, but never catch up. So net is, you know, from a cash flow standpoint, we're 2 months behind.
Well,
forever.
if they take all their walking around money, which they have a new name, Act 1 is their walk around money, and put it where it's supposed to be, and just by, you know, just don't do nothing stupid for about 5, 6 years, and put the money where it belongs. I mean, all they worry about is, and I'm not even going to get into it because it just drags this out, but yeah, the system isn't hard to fix. It's are you willing to sit down together and work it out and fix it? And they don't want to do that. They want their walk around money even though they had to give it up, and now they took Act 1 money to reduce property taxes, and that never went anywhere after 1 year. And finally somebody had a letter to the editor, and it was in there the other day about walk around money and all that, and thanking all those who promised us so much and did nothing. So, but anyway.
Item 17, district substitute list. We will have some additional substitutes once we get all the clarifications, which we're expecting this week. We did have some resignations of coaches that, because we started the process a lot earlier, have decided that they can't commit the time, so that it looks like we've had some people, you know, who applied who didn't coach and now have pulled back and said, geez, I can't for 16, 17, and 15, 16. And so those are 2 resignations. We have 2 retirements. We have a custodian at the 2nd shift at Evergreen, and Jack Machik at the middle school, effective the last day of school. Then spring coaches appointments for people who had resigned. Here are the new appointments for the softball program. And then the appointment of fall coaches are there as well. And as you can see, the football assistants, now that we've hired a football head coach, came in and met with the existing staff and retained all but one of the existing staff, and which is a very good thing for our program and our kids. So I just wanted to point that out, and it was a great idea. I think it was AJ. This includes the experience factors. That's why you see the different pricing for each one of those positions. It's not only the stipend for the position, but also the experience factor. So that is the net cost. And then one of the things that we had talked about earlier as well is the cheerleading is 1 position in the contract, but we have 2 people who want to do it, and we'll split that 1 position money. Okay? So that's the fall coaching scenario. We do have appointing Randy Wolf as the replacement in the physical education department for Jack's position, who's retiring at the end of the year. We have custodian interviews for Alex's position, who is retiring tomorrow. So we will have a recommendation hopefully for Monday on that, and depending on what happens, and at worst case we'll have an appointment of a custodian that might not be in that position, in that specific building, if the transfer occurs between now and then as well. Then all of the advisors and chairs of co-curriculars, which is a big item. They're not on the schedule yet, but we will be putting that all together this week for approval for Monday, and that includes like the assistant band director, band front, all the class advisors, the department chairs, the musical and play scenario, academies of science, the FBLA, all of the co-curriculars that are not athletic. The appointments for the 16-17 school year will all be, for the most part, 90% of them will be filled, and those that aren't will be in the process of looking to get people to take those positions and recruit people to do those positions. You know, as example, yearbook, some of the other positions that we don't have people who have applied for as of yet. So that whole scenario will be ready for Monday night's agenda as well. Then we have some volunteers for the baseball, track and field, and TSA program. and send in the informational important dates. Read Across America, early dismissal March 9th for an in-service day. Then we have the Easter break early dismissal and the science fair at R.D. Wilson. And we had mentioned that right now we have used 2 snow days, and currently we would be graduating based on that without having to change any of the vacation time. Right now we'd be graduating on Friday the 27th. Is it the 20th? Yeah, 27th of May. So relative to what happens between now and then, we can make adjustments to the end of the school year and or the vacation schedule. So and it depends on how many days. If it's 1 day, we can, or if it's none, great. We're where we are. If there are 2 or 3, depending on what we do with vacation time and extending the school year into June, we'll have to make that decision at the April meeting, March-April meeting. And if something happens in April, then we can readjust in the May meeting as well. Okay?
How many years has Randy Wolf been an educator?
17. And then we have pre-kindergarten and kindergarten registration set for the 21st of March. And we do have teachers earning tenure. Erica Booth, Kelly Bosick, Andrew McCaffrey, and James Morrow. And then the correspondence and principals and superintendents and assistant superintendents report. One point of information, the current schedule has March 28th as the next committee meeting of the board. That's Easter Monday, which is now a day off. So depending on what happens, with the weather between now and then, will that be a day off? I don't know the answer to that. And secondarily, do we want to still have that meeting on Monday the 28th? Do we want to do it Tuesday? We want to do it Wednesday, or do we just leave it where it is?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Does anybody, any issue there?
Honest Peter cocktail gets there on Sunday, no bad weather,
Yeah.
we don't have to worry.
We do a big candy share.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to point that, when we noticed that in the schedule, that it was a day that school's not in session because of the Easter break, so that's fine. And then we have the next meeting on April 4th. Okay? Any questions, comments on the agenda? Okay. I did want to put out, we saw in the Scranton paper 3 weeks ago, I guess it was.
Are we in the area of personnel yet, or, I mean, we already have it, so just,
Yeah. Okay.
well, we don't usually, when we do personnel, usually we have people excused, usually.
Okay, no,
We don't have
this
nothing
is,
like that to talk about,
No.
or anything like that, okay.
no,
I just want,
okay. I just wanted to pass out the SAT score scenario that came, it was 3 weeks ago in the Sunday paper. Yes.
I talked to several seniors who didn't realize, I don't know if it's been since then that they've been in the school, but it'd be great to let our seniors know how well they're doing. I'm sure we're down to
We'll put it on our website as well.
Can you pull up for you?
Yeah, I know, right? We got Brandon
What I wanted to point out, and again, this is attributed, the students obviously achieved very well, they did extremely well. It's the highest score that we've ever had as a school district, and we were 9th out of 37 northeastern PA school districts in average test score. So, and we're now above the state average. State average was 1,003, national average was 1,006, and we are now, for 15, we were 1,019, which is, in the 7 of the last 8 years, we've improved our SAT scores. So kids have performed very well. Hats off to them for working very hard and improving. And the education system that Western Wayne over the last 6 to 8 years has put in place has well for improvement in our test scores, especially comparatively speaking to other school districts in the area. Our kids have performed very well. And we have a large percentage of our class taking an exam. It's 127 kids who took the test, which is a lot, which is great for having them to have the opportunity. Secondarily, that was a copy of the newspaper article. Secondarily, our PSAT scores, our total score mean for our 10th graders, PSATs are the pre-SATs, our 10th graders scored 1,005. The state average is 952 and the national average is 931. Our 11th graders who took the PSATs scored 1,073 on average. The state average is 994 and the national average is 1,008. So the kids that take the PSATs, there's a lesser number of kids total that take the PSAT. Again, they performed very well. And that's a precursor to hopefully,
Where's the test administered? Here at the school?
yes.
Okay. At the end of the, is there a PSAT course? Is that how it's working out?
We have SAT courses and content built into some of our courses. We do offer, we have test prep help with our online programming. We have, as I was saying, our English department and math department, they really, at the higher levels, focus in on concepts that don't see on the SATs.
Okay.
So, bottom line for our kids is they've had very, very improving performance over a long period of time. And it bodes well for them because the SAT, like it or don't like it as a concept, it is one of the factors that allows kids on having more choices for future education after high school. So the higher that number is, the higher that our kids perform, the more opportunity that they have to A, to earn scholarships, and B, to earn the opportunity to go to whatever school they want to go to. And again, that's something that was focused on very, very hard for the last 6, 7 years, 8 years at Western Wayne, and the results are certainly showing that that focus and the work that the kids have done and the things that you have done as a board and our staff has done have made our scores get better. And again, that bodes very well for kids for future scholarship opportunities and for choices that they will have regarding where they can go at post-secondary if they choose to go that direction.
In addition, on the ACTs, our students have also increased in the past 5 years, each year, and have surpassed the national average. So in all 5 content areas that are tested on the ACTs. So they're doing a great job.
Great. That's all that I had.
I have 2 just little minor
Yes.
things. Just a reminder about getting in your ethics forms when you have those. I have some blank copies if anybody needs them, sure. And the other thing we talked about, I think last work session, was charter schools and the number of students that we have in the charter schools. I think,
It was me.
right, okay. We have currently, as of January, we have 83 students that are part of either brick and mortar or the cyber charter schools. And it will, if that number remains for the rest of the year, it'll cost us about $1.2 million for charter school expenses. They fluctuate every month, so that's what I'm saying, estimated of 1.2 because they go in and out. That's it.
That's been a growing concern as well. That number keeps growing, and that was, there was a very big political push for cyber charters especially, and it's a drain financially. I mean, $1.2 million for 83 kids, and we run our own cyber charter as well here. So if it's solely for whatever religious or personal reasons to not want to attend school, we do have the opportunity to do it here, and our costs for our cyber charter is substantially less than what we pay to everybody else.
Well, the state helped build the charter school in Simpson, which I'm well aware of, and it takes a lot of our students over there, and they're not actually getting a better education from what I understand. it's Harrisburg again. They can't afford to fund public education, and they're starting in other directions. When you can't afford public educations, which is what our country is all about, then you shouldn't be able to start businesses and giving taxpayer money away for other educational institutes.
And it's really painful when it's a cyber charter, where literally the company, all they have to do is sign up,
Yeah.
stay at home, have a computer program, don't have to follow any of the rules that we do.
And it was that,
And
many
you
other
don't
reasons
have
why Matt and Dr. LaCohen and probably Pat, they got involved and brought it in to save us a few dollars, but more importantly, keep these children here.
Yep.
Because they can't come back here, because they would never be able to get back into the mainstream of what we offer, so we offer them our own curriculum that you guys put together. And so we try things to keep the kids here.
I think up through 11-12 school year, the state also gave us 30% reimbursement for the expenses for this, but they took that away several years ago.
Okay.
In Governor Wolf's proposals for 15-16 and 16-17, there's been proposals to try and give us some reimbursement on that, or at least set a standardized tuition rate for all of the school districts across the state to try to save
Well,
some money
that's
on that. So
favorable anyway, yeah,
they're
trying to-
looking at that, that's in his proposals, but again,
Yeah.
you know, nothing's been
Right.
passed, so.
So where's our Republican colleagues in Harrisburg? Because if the governor wants it, and it's a pretty good idea to fund education, then what are these other people doing sitting down there?
Because right now, we fill out a form every year, and the amount that the cyber charter school or the brick and mortar can charge us is based on what we spend for our district. And, you know, we pay 10,000 something per student for regular ed, and another district can pay 9,000, or maybe they pay 15,000. So all the districts pay different based on our own expenses. One of the things he proposed was making it a uniform cost across the state.
And that would make sense. It's like education, they want to work, they don't know how to fund school districts, well, they need more money. Make every student $11,000 or $10,000, every student in the state of Pennsylvania should get the same amount of money. Every student, and then it's done. It's done. Why should somebody get 13,000 and somebody get?
Regardless of their special needs?
No, that would be a
That would be
better,
different?
yeah, special needs definitely is in a category all of its own. The cost is higher, but whatever it is, and we need to do that. But in regular education, the cost should be the same throughout the state of Pennsylvania for every student in school. Why should somebody get more than somebody else? Valley View used to get more in their budget every year when my friend Senator Mello was there. And we were the same size school, but they got more money. That's why they didn't have tax increases for a long time. I know that for a fact. I talked to a lot of my friends on that way. How do you do it? Well,
And he was siphoning money with that fake rent he was paying.
Right.
but I mean, everything is wrong with everything that they do. And just be fair.
Well,
Just get fair
We're
about
all-
things like Rose said, the government wants to try to offset the imbalance of cost of a student in the charter school. It shouldn't be that way. Why should Dunmore pay, if it was 9 and we pay 11?
Right.
Right?
we need to have a deal. We need to have something concrete so that we're not dealing with 2 years of unknown revenue streams, which is where we're gonna be relatively soon. I mean, we have to adopt the budget in the preliminary budget in May and the final budget before June 30th.
Or you break the law.
And, yeah, or we break the law, we get penalized for it, and we don't know might not know what 2 years worth of revenue, one in arrears and one going forward, is gonna be to build the number.
Well, let's
Yeah.
see.
And it's a big, I
We'll
mean,
give you a little
it's
bit more
$12 million
information. We'll
per
work
year.
the rest for this
And
year.
if we don't know, are we getting 20, or are we getting 24, are we getting 30, we don't, but we have to build the budget.
And so far the state, we had a training 2 weeks ago, I think it was, based on Governor Wolf's proposals, what that would mean for us in funding. But it's all based on what we get in 15-16, which still isn't passed. So everything's in theory. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's so hard to
It's
put the
almost
numbers
It's
together.
impossible.
'Cause
to
you
really
just
try
don't
to
know.
balance
So,
it.
so what formula they're gonna eventually use anyway? They're
Right.
gonna use the
You're talking
as-is
about the
formula.
funding formula,
So we
but
had
that's not
discussions,
passed.
with the two, paid individuals from that, special interest group that came and spoke to us. Are they gonna go with the new bipartisan commission budget that takes into account all those different factors, ESL, and poverty level, and, free and reduced lunch? Are they gonna continue with you're never really gonna see any less money than the year before. You're usually always gonna see a little bit more. That's historically how it's been. But We need a miracle.
Yeah. I'm all for feeding kids in the morning like we started years ago, and now we feed them after school, and then they go home and their parents aren't even there. You know what? Somebody better wake up and straighten this whole country out, because parents that are home and not working, that get the reduced lunches and breakfasts and all that, they don't even take care of their children. They send them to us not fed. It's crazy. It's sad. It's sad. And then we pick up the tab again, and we could use it for books and pencils and everything else, but we have to feed these poor kids because they don't get fed at home. You know? And then they have problems later on in their life, because the parents that are home aren't just sitting home not doing nothing. They're smoking weed, they're drinking booze, and the kids grow up in this environment. And the kids that come here, like I always said, the parents that come here are the kids that are doing good in school when we have, you know, when it's to open the doors for them to come and meet their teachers. The good parents are always here. They don't need to be here, but they want to be here. But the ones that need to be here don't show up. You can't even find them.
Because there's an emphasis on education. Education is important to those families.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
There's other, we're gonna have to educate them regardless.
Vote for Bernie, he has all the answers.
Who?
Vote for Bernie, he has all the answers.
Bernie?
Well, the good news about the education process at Western Wayne is whatever we've done over the past consecutive number of years is working better relative to other school districts around us. So what we've done and what you've done in supporting it is to raise the bar. Achievement matters, and our kids are performing, and you know that's great news. There are a lot of districts that on that list, the newspaper list, that their numbers are declining year after year after year. So you know the culture of Western Wayne as an education, as a school district, has instilled to the kids and the families, on average, you know, it's not everybody, but on average, that achievement matters, and this is really important for you to achieve, and the kids respond. I mean, it is amazing that you know when you have higher expectations of anybody, whatever they do, whether it's their job or their kids or their academic careers or whatever, you know, those that focus on that will perform better, and our kids, you know, good for them and good for us, and good for their families that they're achieving at a higher rate than we ever have, and that's good news.
I just have one off-topic item that I brought to the board, and I want to make a proposal this year going forward as we're talking about projects coming up, improving curriculum guides for next year, and fuel, and et cetera, is open PIAA tournaments, and having the board actually set a criteria for the teams that participate in these open tournaments to actually have the board and the district send them to the playoffs. Jotting some notes down, it's like a 50-50 split with open tournament teams and with non-open tournament teams. My point being is they have to earn their way into the playoffs. They're not given a seed in the tournament. That eventually costs the taxpayers more money and playoff coaches' salaries and transportation and in other aspects of continuing a season that, to be honest with you, they don't deserve to be there. They don't deserve to be there. If we as a board can come up with a criteria to say, you know, if a team is not over the 500 mark with a record, they will not